Good afternoon, everybody. TA charts, setups. We're looking at all the charts today, as many as possible, breaking down what's going on. Everybody get involved with the chat. We're going to have a great stream today, focused all on TA charts and setups. So let's get it, baby. Everybody, as you filter in, how you doing? Hope you're having a wonderful afternoon. We're going to be breaking down the charts, the whole stream. We're not talking news. We're talking about what's going on in the charts. What are the setups? What are the signals? What does the BitLab Trading Stack say about these setups? What does price action say? What is the narrative that's shown in the chart? Stacking the probabilities, letting us know what we should be preparing for and how we can manage risk on that. We're talking about what's going on in these different assets, not only Bitcoin, talking Bitcoin, Ethereum, Cardano, XRP, AVAX. Got to talk about Gala. Got to talk about Sol. We're going to be looking at it all today. So I hope you all are having a good day. And we're going to be breaking down these charts. And just remember, if we're ever breaking down charts and it's on assets that maybe you have other altcoins or you're trading something else, it's okay. We can't always hit every coin, but what you can always take away from these streams at BitLab Academy is understanding the process of going through the chart and seeing how you can stack the probabilities and data in your favor, and how you can also use the data from different indicators and different signals in the chart to disqualify some different biases you may have. Maybe you're thinking it's bullish because you have 1, 2, 3 sort of setup, support and confirmation, but maybe you have 2 or 3 things that are really contending with that and conflicting with those signals. So we're going to be breaking down these charts today. Everybody get involved. If you're feeling positive today, throw a 1 in chat. If you're feeling bullish, type in bull. If you're feeling bearish, but you're okay with it, I don't know, put a funny emoji in chat. Let's see these lab coats start to fly through here. Let's get this popping. We're going to be, again, we're breaking down. We did so much news this morning. We're doing only TA in the stream this afternoon. So thank you, everybody, for being here. If you're here in the morning and in the evening, well, happy to have you here. Ray Meeks, who's he's the back-end genius, BitLab Academy. He and I worked very closely together. You see him here in chat. He and I worked very closely building all the completely overhauled and new updated indicators. There's so many different settings and all these. In fact, at 4 p.m. today in the BitLab Discord, our own Alex Green, who is a wizard himself, is going to be breaking down some of the stuff on the BitLab Trading Stack, giving a little course there, a little breaking down signals, how to read them, what's going on. I may just be popping in there, talk with you all. So get involved in the Discord if you're not yet. Most primarily, if you're a BitLab Trading Stack subscriber or BitLab Pro subscriber, either or, you'll be able to have access to that. If you're not yet, what are you doing? Head over to bitlabacademy.com and get involved. Again, we're going to be breaking down the charts today, breaking down some setups, looking at what the indicators are saying, what levels we should be watching. We're going to be getting involved here very quickly. All right, we got everybody starting to flow in here. We're going to be getting going here in just under a minute. I want roll call right now. Everybody get involved in the chat. Drop your favorite microscope, lab coat, test tube, heart, something. Get involved in here. Let's see who's present for class. We're doing this together. We're a community. Big love to everybody. Again, 4 p.m. today. I'll say it again here in the stream a little bit. We're doing a BitLab Trading Stack event in the Discord, breaking down some of the things in there. On these indicators, and we're gonna be, of course, going through a lot of different stuff on these indicators, but primarily we're focused on what's going on with these different assets: Bitcoin, Ethereum, different altcoins. What should we be looking at? What setups are present? So everybody get involved. We're gonna be getting going here in just a moment. Good afternoon, good evening, and very late at night if you're on the other side of the world. Welcome to the BitLab Academy daily stream. My name is Kellam. We're going to be breaking down the charts today. Our afternoon stream, it's all about charts. It's all about TA. It's all about what the heck is the narrative in the price action, and what do the indicators, the data sets tell us, so that we can stack those probabilities in our favor, so we can take trades and manage our risk and make sure that we are on the right side as much as possible, and managing our risk when we're not, so we can be stacking capital rather than donating capital to other people. Everybody hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, ding the bell. It's time to jump in. We don't have to do a long intro on these TA streams because we're getting right into the chart. So I want to see everybody here in the chat get involved. I want to see a wall of lab coats in the chat, everybody engaging. And we got 38 people in the room, 25 likes. Everybody hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, ding the bell. And just a reminder, at 4 p.m. here in just a few minutes, right after the stream, there's going to be a BitLab Trading Stack event in the Discord. Our own wizard man himself, Alex Green, is going to be breaking down some stuff. And I just may be popping in there, sharing some things in there as well. So let's go ahead and jump right on into it. What's going on with Bitcoin and the price, and where is it going? And don't worry, we're not only talking about Bitcoin in the stream, we're talking about Ethereum, we're talking about Cardano, talking about XRP, talking about your favorite altcoins here in the crypto market. And we're going to be going through a lot of different coins. We're not going to spend a lot of time on any particular asset. We just want to break down where things are at and what levels we should be watching, and where there may be setups involved that we could take some trades. So let's go ahead and continue on here. Again, if you have not hit that like button or subscribe button, ding the bell and you're in the room, what are you doing? Get involved. So I see we got all kind of people in the chat. We got a lot of our OGs. We got some newcomers as well. Shout out to everybody that's here. So what do we want to look at? So looking first here at Bitcoin, I'm going to go ahead and delete this, this wave that I drew this morning. I just want to point something out. No pattern that we see on charts. You don't regularly see perfect patterns. So one of the things about doing technical analysis when you're looking at price action for any asset is to realize that there's certain characteristics of different patterns, different shapes, different behaviors of price action in an asset. Same thing with indicators. There's very rarely very perfect setups. So in this case, what I'm talking about here is what I see right here is not a head and shoulders, but it has a lot of the same characteristics. So if we ignore all the lines and we ignore any of the indicators and we look just at the price action, we can see we had an attempt up, failed. We had a little bit of a consolidation. Then we had a much larger bullish attempt here. And then we had a smaller attempt here. So bulls tried, bulls really came in and they got smacked down. Bulls tried again and they have no steam. So what does this indicate? Everything that we're doing in technical analysis is an art form, and it's all subjective per the individual that is doing it and based on your own experience and what you can read. And then understanding price action and layering on that all the different indicators will only just take it to another level. Now, of course, with indicators themselves, especially with something like the BitLab Trading Stack, you cannot know price action and just understand how to read the indicators and what signals they are providing and make excellent trades regularly. It definitely will benefit you if you do understand price action as well, though. So looking at this, we're seeing that we had attempt, larger attempt, weaker attempt. So we're saying the bulls picked up strength. Maybe it can go somewhere. The bulls had no steam. So if they tried really hard and it was a sentiment-based pump, and then the next attempt was so weak, what does that indicate about the narrative? What we're trying to do anytime we are interacting with this market is identify where does the narrative lie in this never-ending battle between the bulls and the bears. Where are you at on the continuum within that narrative of who's in control? And the control there is a kind of misleading, misnomenclature. It's really, where does the sentiment lie with the majority of the people trading this market? Because all this price action is a visual representation tracking the psychology of the market over time. Because everything involved in these buys and sells is either primarily people buying and selling, or algorithms. Up until this point, this may change, algorithms designed by people. So it's still the characteristics and the programmatically set up in a way based on functions and certain criteria that humans are selecting. So either way, we're looking at the tracking of the psychology of the narrative of who's in control, bulls or bears. In this case, the bears were in control of this narrative. The bulls tried to make an attempt, bears took back over. The bulls kind of took back over here, but failed to even meet the previous low here and then got smacked down. Now we have a weaker attempt again. So I've said that 6 times. I don't need to say it any longer. Point here is, when we're looking at this, putting back on all the lines, we can sort of ignore this now because that did not play out. We can actually just readjust this and create a bit of a flat bottom here where we have a bounce. It's kind of more, excuse me, it's more regional. So let's get a box here. There we go. Now let's make this a little bit not as bright. There we go. So we have a bit of a zone here that the price action is bouncing through, comes back in, a little deviation, bounces through, a little bit of deviation. It's almost like a little pickaxe. You know, it's like somebody trying to escape Alcatraz. Might take a little while, but every night they're sitting there, you know, tapping on that wall, it might be concrete, you can get through it. And this is essentially what seems like maybe happening at this point. And here we are, we're testing the lower side of this box again. And so what are we to do? Well, first off, let's go ahead and turn on our indicators and get a broader view of data of what's going on. So actually, let me do this. So utilizing the BitLab trading stack, what we want to do is first understand visually what's going on with the price action. And once we see we are in this sort of downtrend here on this daily period, then we can look to all the signals that are provided from the various different signals within this indicator package, from the BitLab intelligence, BitLab volume, right here, giving us a volume profile. And currently this is set on the open interest, which a lot of people aren't using, and you absolutely should. And that's right here. If you come to source, actually, let me come back here. If you come up here to BitLab volume, click on the gear wheel, come down here to source, you can look at open interest, you can look at volume. You see this right here, and this, you're seeing the volume profile of this would relate. If we put this right next to the price action here, all these different volume bars is how much volume traded at this corresponding price level. So when you see this growing like it does right here, there's more volume that is traded at these price levels. So now the next thing is, obviously, we're also looking at the BitLab intelligence, which is giving us a lot of different signals. And when you just take a step back, don't get overwhelmed, look at what we're seeing here. We have essentially our trend signal line right here, and we're going to set this up before we look at a bunch of the altcoins, just to remind everybody what we're looking at, because this is going to work on any asset you're utilizing, you're doing analysis on, whether it's Bitcoin, altcoins, or even traditional assets. We have our trend signal line right here, which is a 50 exponential moving average that also has some other program data within it, which is also giving us, we can see that we're in a bullish trend when this is green, and we can tell when this is flipping to a bearish trend when this flips red. In addition to this trend signal line, this 50 exponential moving average, we also have this EMA ribbon with a brighter 20 moving average within this. Now the spread between this fills in once we have this established sort of strong downtrend. We get this filled in shaded area right here. When it's bearish, this is a dynamic resistance zone, meaning when price comes up into the zone or gets rejected at this 20 moving average, there's not really any sort of bullish sentiment yet. There's the bears are in control. And look at this. We break through this 20 moving average, actually come down, find support. And in this case, we sliced right through the dynamic resistance zone, which is all of this right here. We had a high volume candle with this teal candle right here. It means there's a lot of buying pressure. There's a lot of volume, you know, more than normal buying volume on this candle. However, as soon as we break through this is clearly a bear trap, or sorry, a bull trap, because as soon as we slice through this, the next candle is a yellow candle. This yellow candle is essentially, think of it as stopping volume. It's indicating that this right here was a bit of a fake out, and there's going to be there's a lot of interest in stopping this from continuing higher. So you're either going to consolidate or reverse. In this case, we reverse. Similarly, we had this large sell-off right here. Very similar to this teal candle, we have these purple candles right here, which are very high selling volume. And then we get, look at this, 2 stopping volume candles right here. And what do? Instead of full reversal, we went sideways. So you have 2 different characteristics there, but same thing. Essentially, when you're seeing a lot of volume and the next candle, you get the stopping volume, it's a good indication that you can look to other signals and also not jump into that emotional driven trade action of buying the top of the wick because you're scared this is to continue. Well, sometimes patience not only is virtue, sometimes patience will save you hundreds or thousands or tens of thousands of dollars. In this case, you see right here, had you jumped in on this would have reversed on you, and all you had to do is wait. Now we're looking at the daily, so let's come down to the 4 hour, get just a little bit more clarity. Okay, so looking here, now let's pull up there we go, the trend fuel here on the bottom. I'm going to take my face off just so we can see all the data here. This is a multi-oscillator that we have at the bottom that gives us the wealth of information. We call it trend fuel because it really shows you that underlying data about where, you know, the strength, you have the RSI. Of course, we have the RSI in purple. We have the stochastics in orange. We have this momentum wave that also not only has just standard momentum, but also high volume selling pressure momentum. We have positive momentum, but we also have high buying volume, which are these green bars, high bearish pressure, high selling pressure, red bars, high bullish or buying pressure and volume are these green, as you can see. Then, of course, remember we have the money flow in blue and in purple, or I would say darkish pink. And you'll also see that there's some gray in here. The only reason we identify these gray areas on the money flow, as you can see right here, is because essentially, I don't want to say there's no data there, but there's a lack of movement. It's essentially neutral money flow. It's somewhat static. So it's a no signal. So what we want to do right now when we're trying to identify if the price action is going to move up or down is, well, we can see on the BitLab Intelligence, we had essentially bearish signal, likely selling reversal. What do we get on both of these? Reversal. Now this comes all the way down till we get a bullish signal. Does this mean it's going to absolutely reverse to the upside? Not all, it may sometimes, and similarly with this did reverse to the downside, but it's not always going to mean it's just going to reverse. What you want to do, remember, is stack the probabilities in your favor. So in this case right here, we have a bearish signal followed almost immediately. It's not on this candle, but on this next attempt to the upside. If we zoom in on this, we can see on this next attempt to the upside, then we get our triangle down here on the trend fuel. What does this mean? The momentum has been coming up and the momentum is starting to roll over. And this is that point at which you can sort of have your setup and then your setup, your supporting setup right here where you have the yellow candle. So you have these one and the same. And then your confirmation could have been right here when you get this trend the momentum reversal right here with the triangle on the trend fuel. So what is present? This is for a sell to the downside or an exit of a long, right? So what do we look for when we're down here where we're at right now? Similarly, right here, we had a lot of buying pressure followed by, you know, yellow candle. And so we have our setup right here where the candles are reversing. We have the stopping volume. And then in addition to the stopping volume, we get the triangle right about right here. So you didn't get the very top of this if you took this trade setup, but it got you out on a pretty, in about a 2% range. So you missed 2% of that move, but you were able to be patient and utilize the data signals present, letting them stack up to give you the confirmation. So in this case, we're on the 4-hour. So we're looking at the 4-hour candles. Price has broken down. In this case, it came across. Where did it break down? It found support on this 20 moving average and actually broke under it, is getting rejected on along the way. And on this point right here, it fully rejects and loses the weekly VWAP right here, putting us not only under the 20 moving average, but actually under the weekly VWAP, as well as a trend signal line, confirming very strongly that the bulls fully lost their confidence here, and we get all the selling volume with this purple candle. And even though we have the stopping volume here, this is a very bearish setup or bearish environment for the trend as it stands right here on the 4-hour. Essentially, also, as this price comes across, we do push up into, we break the 20 moving average, but we're finding resistance right here at the trend signal line. And we tried to break out above it, but we got rejected immediately on touching this weekly VWAP. Weekly VWAP is probably one of the most underutilized parts of the BitLab Intelligence. And again, if you want this weekly VWAP on here, you can come over here to BitLab Intelligence, hit this gear wheel, and then scroll down where it says VWAP settings. Turn on your weekly VWAP right here. You can change the color if you want or whatever, but turn that on. We could see rejected, and then on this rejection, we fall back into that very bearish structure under the trend signal line and finding some support in this sort of zone here, but ultimately losing this EMA ribbon on this next rejection at the trend signal line, only to come down here and test into this order block right here, this green block, which is again part of the BitLab volume. Remember, BitLab volume outlines order blocks both above and below, where there's high levels of clusters of orders and a lot of liquidity interest in zones. Essentially, what you'll see when you have these order blocks is price action tends to come back and visit those zones. Now, it doesn't always have to, so just look at them as suggestions. In this case, we came back, we revisited the zone. We're coming back up, getting rejected at this trend line again. So all things compared, all things looking at this together with the the price culture, with the price action setup, with this kind of pseudo but not quite head and shoulders type of characteristic with the push, larger push, smaller push, and also back under the dynamic resistance zone, and finding weakness and even trying to get back above this. This is suggesting to me that there's likely downside to come, even if, mark my words, even if we get another bullish attempt up and rejection down, which very well could happen. We still have this large order block right here on the BitLab volume, suggesting that maybe there is a little bit of liquidity, magnetism here for price action to come up here, which would not be out of line from where about that previous high was on this attempt. So this isn't out of the question. The reason I point this out is, although there's indication that there's likely downside, remember right now in the market, when there's such indecision in the marketplace, market makers, smart money, institutions, people out there that have been doing this professionally for years know all the tips, all the tools and tricks to get people who do not have a strategy to commit their capital in irresponsible ways by just pushing the price past certain levels and making people, have that FOMO and try to catch the move on the upside. And so we got to pay attention to that. Although we are looking at likely price move to the downside, don't just all of a sudden say, I'm going to make a lot of money by putting a 30x short right here, because the second you do that is when this liquidity gets pushed to the upside, flushes you out, commits people long, gets people, going, 10, 15x leverage long, only to reverse it to come back down. We're seeing a lot of like double shakeouts before a continuation of a move or a decision of a move into a direction. So now what I want to do when we're looking at this, remember we looked at the daily and the 4-hour, but we got to make sure we got to come out here. Let's look at the 3-day and just see what's going on the 3-day. So on the 3-day, this does look a little bit like it's trying to form a little bit of a bottoming pattern because we have this large volume and we're getting this sideways price action. But there's two ways you could look at this. You could interpret this as, man, we're finding a little bit of a local bottom, but it's also just as easy to say this is forming a bear flag or a bear pennant, which would have a continuation on this measured move exactly down to where this zone is right here, which there's a giant order block below us right here. So this would be fully in context of the move. And this is looking at the 3-day chart. So we've got to be patient about what's happening here because we have a triangle here showing that the momentum's trying to reverse, but this yielded this giant wick here that got completely demolished within the matter of days. And we look right here to the right of a bearish setup on the stochastics. It's neutral, neutral, but then bearish, bearish. So the bias here within the data on the 3-day, even though we have this triangle, this is why you don't trade on just one signal. There's still a data bias suggesting a downside attempt, downside move to be made. That's the 3-day. Let's look at the daily. Daily, look at that. Same thing, leaning bearishly. Now we also have here, the momentum looks like it's starting to come down a little bit there. We're going to have to stay tuned for what that move's going to be. Now, if we zoom, let's actually spread this out a little bit so we can see it a little better. We see the stochastics rolled over on the same spot right here. Stochastics got overheated up here at about 72, 74, rolling over. RSI strength, the relative strength index, not overbought or oversold, but how strong is the underlying metrics for this asset, kind of came down and it's riding. It's below 50. Remember, it's having a hard time holding its head above 50. And what do we say about Bitcoin or any asset for that matter, especially Bitcoin? If you're on the daily and the RSI cannot hold above 50, then there's an underlying narrative that is still bearish. Did we peak our head above this? Yes, we peaked our head very quickly. We peaked our head very quickly up to about, let's see, up to about 68, 70%. I'm looking right over here on the right for the measurement. And then it immediately gets rejected down to 34%. So coming down almost into that oversold area, AKA weak strength. And this is not angled. It's not even angled up any right now. It's actually angled somewhat down. Negative money flow. There's a little bit of curvature here, but things are leaning to the in favor of the bears at the moment. Now, again, on the 8 hour, we're getting a little bit of that curvature. Let's go ahead and zoom. Sorry, let me go ahead and collapse this a little bit. Stochastics, you see they're all meeting a local zone each time. What do I mean by local zone? Basically a diagonal level of resistance. Even without drawing the line, you could see it's rejecting at somewhat of a familiar area of a trend coming down. RSI is quite low. That means strength is quite low. So we got to be patient here with Bitcoin. 4 hour, a little bit come down, a little bit of a bounce. And we're looking like we're setting up on the 4 hour for a little bit more bullishness. But the question here to confirm this is, especially in the next, I would say next 2 hours, the end of this candle in 37 minutes, and then in another 4 hour period, if this bullish attempt cannot take out this weekly VWAP, take out this trend signal line and this weekly VWAP, and let alone that, over the course of the next probably about 16 hours or so, so four to six candles, if we cannot break above this zone, and that's if we can even break above the weekly and this trend signal line here, then this bullishness is going to result in this very weak bullish attempt, which very quickly can turn around to bulls saying, you know what, I'm tired of doing this. Every time we take it, you know what, we're going to go take a break. This is not working. And then the bulls flip their bias and they sell as well. So this is what we're seeing the narrative is saying right now. Now, remember, we do have this order block right below us. But if we start getting a flipping of the bullish sentiment, the bulls that are still there, those that are still buying, if they stop buying up these dips, they don't even have to sell. But if they stop buying up these, where were we at? I hit something on my keyboard and I don't know what happened. There we go. If they stop buying up these dips, they don't even have to sell, but just stop buying when this dips, this price will get that move down to test this level down here. So everybody be prepared, stay safe. Now, what I want to do next is let's look through a number of our other coins. Again, everybody, if anybody's unfamiliar with these indicators, this is a BitLab trading stack, which essentially has the BitLab intelligence, which has the moving averages, as well as these bullish and bearish setups, as well as high volume and stopping volume, you know, a number of different things with it. In addition to all this, the divergences showing bearish divergences and bullish divergences and how many. So we can see here, let's get a good example. Like for instance, right here, we had a couple bullish divergences preceding this move to the upside. And we're starting to get a little bit of bearish divergences here. It doesn't quite play out, but then we get the bearish setup fully here. So we're getting all this different data we can utilize. And then of course, remember we have the BitLab volume here, which has a number of different advanced settings you can add at this too. I have more of a basic level, which has the volume profile as well as the order blocks. And they'll change based on the time frame you're looking at, based on the frequency of those clusters and liquidity, which in this case, we can see the order blocks are way down below us. Are we going to get down there? I don't think it's going to go that low, but we're seeing this large range of these order blocks come down to the 30-minute, and we'll have order blocks. There we go. So we have an order block right below us here on the 30-minute, not any above us. Oh, we have two right here. Boom, boom. So, and then of course we have the BitLab trim fuel here on the bottom. If you are interested in this, by the way, you can head over to BitLab Academy. Of course, we have all the courses on everything to really understand how to navigate this market. Then, of course, if you want these indicators, you can come here to get the BitLab Pro, which is all the courses we have, plus the premium Discord, plus the indicators. If you want just the courses and the premium Discord, it's right here with IO on all access. Then, of course, if you want the indicators, you come right here to indicators. Go to BitLab Trading Stack, and it takes you to this page right here. Click on that, go to put in your info, process billing, and you can use Give Me 30 for 30% off any of those different products I just told you about. I just want to let you guys know this is something we spent hundreds or thousands of hours putting together, and we're still building out a lot of updates for everything as we go. We got more content coming to BitLab Academy. We got more updates coming to the indicator trading stack as we go, but it's just phenomenal. So definitely get involved, use the code to get access to that. And if you do it now, you'll be able to join the little training session we have at 4 p.m. So let's dive in here. Let's talk a little bit about some altcoins. Let's talk about what's going on here with some altcoins. So we had our reversal candle here. Our reversal pattern right here on Ethereum. We had a couple, look at this, we had a couple bullish setups that started brewing up as we're progressing into this bullish reversal pattern. And look at all these bullish divergences we're setting up right here. We get two bearish divergences followed immediately by two more bullish divergences right here. Let me zoom in on that. And that called like two candles before this move to the upside. If you put your mouse over the number, it tells you what divergences are. So we had stochastic hidden bullish divergence and a demand index bullish divergence, only to two candles later, boom, have this moonshot to the upside. Now in this case, large volume candles, stopping volume. Large volume, stopping volume. Look at this. There's large volume and it didn't even go anywhere. That was a signal in itself, immediately followed by stopping volume. For me, this in itself would have been a signal. 3 attempts, shrinking bullish momentum each time, and we're getting stopping volume following each one, and there's no real new high. This is a high here. This did not reach that stopping volume. On the next low, I would have taken that short, boom, right there, and that would have taken you from, we're on the 30-minute. That would have taken us from, next low was right there. That would have taken us down to, if we take it just to this next bullish setup, that's 5.2%. If we take it all the way down, this one, that's 6.5% difference of, just looking at what the signals are saying. So let's get out to the daily. Looking at Ethereum, there's been some movement, some whales, some wallets moving coins onto Coinbase, but then also a bunch of buying that's been happening in the last couple hours from whales of Ethereum. But we can't only look, let's delete some of these lines. There's just far too many lines. Let's actually go to a cleaner chart. There we go. Bit of an M formation here. Lower high. Come down here. We got a lower low. Now we're coming up on this attempt to the upside. Got immediately rejected right here at the trend signal line. Coming down. So we've got a little bit of a wick-based support level here, as well as a candle body-based level there. Just kind of marking out two different ways you can identify like what you're looking at for supports. But either way, this is coming down and testing these zones. Daily, let's look at this. Stochastics still rolling over. We're getting a little bullishness in here, but very similarly to what we saw on Bitcoin, we have a little bit of an attempt here that could not get anywhere. Large attempt immediately rejected, and we're being suppressed right now under this weekly VWAP. We had an attempt, but it got sucked back down. What do I mean by attempt? When you see a wick like this means price action traveled all the way up this amount, but the bear said, no, you don't, Sir Bull, and it brings the price action down, 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 and it's holding us currently under this weekly VWAP. So let's get down to the 4-hour, get a little bit more clarity. Where are we at right here? So we are breaking a little bit through it, but these are two potential reversal candles. We got a spinning top, spinning top. This is a lot of times what you'll see when you get basically it's showing that there's an equilibrium between the bulls and the bears. Just after a lot of expansion and bullish momentum, now we have equilibrium. Well, that's cause for concern. Couldn't break past this level over here. We can't break past the lows. See these lows over here? This is showing struggle. This is not good for the bullish narrative. Now, if we do break to the upside, we've got all this work to do, which is this zone over here, which is these highs, as well as this stopping volume sort of level that's outlined with this line right here, just short of this order block right above us. So we've got a lot of headache up here. And if we get stopped here, anywhere in here, even if we come up here to the top side of this, which is basically the top of this attempt here, then we'd really be forming an ugly sort of similar to Bitcoin, it's head and shoulders kind of setup. In addition to that, we'd have a lower high yet again. So is that what we're looking at? Well, things here on the 4-hour, look how much green is on here. This is really trying. The bullish signals in here are really trying. The bullish signals are saying, we're giving it everything we got, Captain. And look at this. We cannot even break past this range. So until we get a candle that just, and I do think if we do start pushing up, we probably will get a bit of a candle, meaning it's going to be somewhat of a quick expansion and bullish momentum to the upside. So watch for that if it does happen. But look at that as an inefficient move. It's much like this that only got brought down. If the stair steps its way up, that's healthy. But look at all this bullishness on the 4-hour. And this is having the bears are holding this back, even with all this, the underlying bullishness. Now the momentum wave, we did get the diamond here, which is basically a weaker triangle. It's similar sort of signal, except it's not, this does not, if I look at this, zoom in on this, you see this line right here and this line right here. This is your 70 and 30 sort of zone, or positive 70 or negative 70. But this is showing a lot of momentum. It eclipses this zone, and that's when you get these triangles, when this converges back down. In this case, this is the same thing, converging, but this did not come and breach this zone. You see how this barely breached the zone? We got the triangle. So this is a very similar signal. It's just a little weaker because the momentum did not come down as far. Now in this case, we do see the stochastics rolling back over, but the RSI is also rolling over at the same time, somewhat negating this move. And you can see right here on the BitLab Trend Fuel, a second ago, that was all, you saw that it was all red a second ago. Now it's all green. There's a little bit of a battle going on here. We can see the order flow right here. So what does this say about what's going on with Ethereum? Well, I do think, barring any sort of different fundamental news, partnership, or something hugely positive for Ethereum, I do think that Ethereum and Bitcoin are more likely than not to travel together when Bitcoin makes the decision of which direction it's going to go. What I want you to notice is very similar to on Bitcoin. We had a high volume, stopping volume, breakdown, and then high volume on the downside that ultimately broke down. And it was same on Bitcoin, where we're seeing price action that broke down and came up and is finding resistance on the lows of this previous consolidation range. Basically, a small stair step down. contributing to a little bit more weakness here. So if this price action cannot get above, this level here, 1660, then there's nothing to talk about with upside. And even if it does get above this level, how does it get there? We want to look at what the type of momentum it is, what the type of velocity, what the type of buying and selling pressure. As it stands right now, this is looking like, even if we get an attempt, it's looking like it more likely will be a wick brought back down, only to get back below this trend signal line again and test this order block right below us, which goes all the way down to basically 1600. But to touch it, we'd have to basically get down into under 1620. Now, if we have a candle closure instead of just a wick, if we have a candle closure in this order block and below this, basically in the middle of the zone, the 1610s, then this is indicating further weakness as well, because it's no longer the bulls defending that candle close in there, and it's suggesting more weakness, and this will likely break down to further downside price action. So I'm not looking too bullishly at these assets right now based on the signals I'm seeing. If we get down to the 1 hour, we can see right here remember the 4 hour had all that stacked up green. Well, the 1 hour, look at this, neutral, bearish, a little bit of bullishness. But look at this, the momentum waves rolling over. We had bullish setup, couldn't go anywhere. Back and forth with different divergences, bearish divergences, and these bullish divergences. In fact, we had 4 bullish divergences here, couldn't go anywhere. We zoom in on this, I think is that 6? So we have 5 bullish divergences right here, couldn't go anywhere. Now we do have 5 bullish divergences right here, and we're getting a move, but we're getting a move that could not break past the previous highs. It's showing that the bulls are swinging, but they're coming to a gunfight with pebbles. So there are little signals here and there, but as I said, with any indicator set, anything that you use, whether it's RSI, MACD, stochastics, Market Cipher, BitLab Trading Stack, Lux Algo, it doesn't matter what indicator set you use. You need to utilize setup, support, confirmation method. Otherwise, you cannot be effective. So in this case right here, this came right down to this. Look at this, crossing trend lines right here. Bounces right on the zone, right in this order block. And we do at the same zone, we had a lot of selling pressure coming into this. There was no others. We got a little bit of a triangle right here. And then we have a bullish, 5 bullish divergences right here. But there's just a mixture, and there's nothing wrong at all with indicators when you see this kind of stuff. This is where we're at right now in the market with indecision, without a conviction and a defined trend about what direction it's going. Yeah. So just wanted you to pay attention to that. So, okay. Now, looking right here, even on the smaller time frame, we're on the 30-minute, it's looking like we got a little bit of a rising wedge right here. So we want to see some bullishness. Well, we can't only see bullishness because we saw on the 4 hour a bunch of green coming down to the smaller time frame to see what is the leading indication into this 4 hour. Is it going to sustain with this bullishness, or is there potential a little bit of bearishness coming in? Well, on the 30-minute, we don't see nearly as much green, and we also see this rising wedge here, which is its bearish structure likely to break down. So again, this is looking like there's going to be another attempt to test these order blocks right in here. If we lose this level, if we lose that 1600 mark, then we're likely coming down here, as I said, to 1579. Now I'm just looking at where that previous wick is. It's the easiest way to truly, let's go to 4 hour, get a lot more data there. 1575 down to 1540. And then testing even lower from there. Yeah. The next order block on the 4 hour is all the way down here where this previous area touched down, this previous low. And that's all the way down, basically 1400 zone. So could we be seeing that? So I want to say, when you're using the BitLab trading stack, that you don't get myopically blinded by looking at the 4-hour time frame or the daily, and you see, okay, on the dashboard here on the bottom, which you can see on the BitLab TrendView, you see all this bullishness potential. Well, ask yourself, what does it say across the time frames that lead into this? So on the 4-hour, you can come down to the 2-hour. It's still looking quite bullish. Let's get down to the 1 hour. We're getting a little bit of mixed signals here, and then we get down to the 30-minute. It's you know, starting. It's not looking as strong, and we're seeing the momentum roll over. So you want to ask yourself, when you're looking at the price action, then if you see all this bullishness, but then on the price action you're also seeing signs of potential rollover. Maybe this is the signal that not necessarily you discount, but you're not finding the supporting and the confirming evidence that is going to follow through. That's one of the most critical things when you're using any indicator package, and also this BitLab trading stack, is look for your supporting, your setup, your support, and your confirming indications, and then try to find things that conflict with your bias. So what else we want to look at here? This is suggesting to me, as I said, that we're going to be testing back probably down into the, I would think we're going to test down into the 1610s. If we can hold that, then we can, I think it's still going to consolidate, but I do think at some point we are going to get the test, at least the bottom side of this order block range. And if we lose that, I do think we're going to be in for a little bit more downside. Let's look at Cardano. We haven't looked at Cardano in a couple days. Let's look at it right here. Okay. No, it's too much. There we go. Trying to get a cleaner chart. There we go. So Cardano, just delete this. Getting a couple divergences, a couple bullish divergences. Sometimes these are split a little further on some assets than others, because the way they're programmed in, it has to do with the percentage distance from a candle. And so on these smaller assets, that percentage difference makes it look like it's out further. Even though it's measured the same percentage from, like, when you're looking at like Bitcoin, but similar, same thing. Look at this, head and shoulders. Look at this, head and shoulders, also suggesting that this was not going to continue, because we have the high volume, stopping volume, reversal. Stopping volume also with the RSI was coming down right here on the BitLab trend fuel, showing as this was moving up on the next candle right here. Not only did we have stopping volume, but the RSI was already reversing down, and we're still in negative money flow. What do we get? We have the head and shoulders, measure that move. Where we go, we went right to that move. So again, stair step down, consolidating under the lows of this level. Where are the lows? Interestingly, right about, if you were to take this across, look at the low here. That's the top side of this order block, and look at the low here. Look at where this order block is. Why would that order block be printed there? Because it has to do with the areas of interest. When this wick came up here, there's a lot of selling pressure on the market because of where the previous price action was. So the BitLab volume is really helping do the work for you of identifying where there has been areas and where there is areas of interest of buying or selling pressure. And, you know, liquidity has changed hands at this level in the past, and it will likely do it again. Another way of saying, look left on the chart. Where has liquidity changed hands in the chart? It's slightly different, but you can see this is trying, but it's looking like we may get a lower high here. We're on the 4 hour. What does it say on the 1 hour? We don't have enough real data there. Okay, here we go. Okay, Coinbase. So we're looking here, 4 hour. Look at this, stopping volume up. Stopping volume up. Now we get some bullish divergences, suppressed by the trend signal line dynamic resistance, suppressed, or rejected, I shouldn't say suppressed. And then finally, test this order block. We break through, come back, find support, come up. This was a possibility for the bulls to take control, but we're currently having a lower high right here. Yes, we are above the weekly VWAP, but this is also showing a bit of a reversal structure. No conviction from bulls. They cannot get their act together. And look at this, 4 hour, all this bullishness. So what does a leading time frame suggest? A lot of bullishness here too. Pretty interesting. Does it say down on the 24-minute? Bearishness starting to come in, and we're getting these lower highs. In fact, we can see right here, got a little bit of a trend line there. If we draw from top of, let me see, where's that wick? Top of this wick. So again, order block right above us. If we cannot take out this sort of trend line in this order block, we can't even talk about taking out this zone. This is still looking very weak. What does GRT look like? Pretty clear. Let me see. That's actually all these wicks just eat through this. But look at this, stopping volume down, then high volume down. Then, whew. So where we're at right now, M formation right here. Excuse me. We have an order block right below us, right while we're testing right here. We're on the 24-minute. While we're testing this trend signal line, momentum's trying to roll over here. If we lose this, likelihood is we'll come up and retest somewhere. It depends on how far we fall. If we lose this and come up, we'll likely test somewhere in this region around this point of control, basically 8.7 and the weekly VWAP around 8.73, 8.74 and 8.73. More than likely to reject and come down here and test this order block down here. Let's actually look at this on the 4-hour. So look at this trap between the trend line and the weekly VWAP. So this is trying to hold a bullish narrative. We're above the weekly VWAP. Same thing like we saw in the other two assets, three assets we looked at. A lot of bullishness on the 4-hour. Does that mean we take the trade? Well, we don't have any triangle or any diamond down here. The stochastics are trying to roll over here, but the RSI is angled down. You see what I mean? Where you don't want to just take trades because you see one signal or the stochastics rolling over. Get the trade. Well, is there any supporting or confirming evidence of it? As it stands right now, we have lower high. Yes, we're above the weekly VWAP, but we're in a bearish structure right now. Still have negative money flow. Look at it, still having, a lot of selling that we're seeing right here on the order books. I'm looking at this likely getting rejected and coming back to test down into this 8.5 zone right here. AVAX. I don't think we looked at AVAX in the last day or two. All of these are just trying. I mean, the bulls are trying and they can't get there. The bulls, there's this weak attempts. I think I'm not telling anybody to short, but I'm not telling anybody to take a long setup either. I'm not telling you to do anything. Actually, this is not financial advice, but I'm suggesting that there's a lot of evidence gathering that the bulls are trying to make weaker and weaker attempts. I do think there's going to be a liquidity washout to the downside. We did have the diamond right here. See this dot right here? This is flipping back the other direction, but the money flow is starting to come back out again. Stochastics angled up, but the RSI is kind of rounding out, and we have another lower high yet again on AVAX. Got a trend line right there, getting rejected. So if we can't overtake this, which immediately above it is the order blocks right above us. Not only is the bullish attempt weak, the bullish attempt is not without hurdles. So even if the bulls do make an attempt, there's so much in their way. There's no fundamental change on anything right now. And right now in the market where we're at, everything, all these pumps that we've had recently have been speculative driven. And a big part of that is the ETF stuff and the SEC and all these other types of things within the markets, that there's been hope news, no fundamental news. So with Avalanche, 973 to 970, I mean, let's call it 965. If we lose 965, which interestingly, let's call it 960, because this is the area marked out by this high volume marker right here. Gives you a sort of stop loss suggestion of sorts. You can use it as that. Ray Meeks pointed that out to me. I think it's actually pretty solid. And what I'm talking about here, if I delete that line, you see this block right here. You also see it again right here. So when price comes back up to this, this also lets you know that this was an area of interest, that potential reversal. And then this comes down, bounces right about here, you know. So 961, I do think, and I love AVAX. I got out of AVAX. I told you guys this about a month ago now, and I'm happy I did. Of course, there were some pushes up. Should I get back in? You know? Excuse me. But I stuck to my course, stuck to my guns, and I've only gotten the scenario where the assets that I want to buy, the assets that I want to be holding in the next bull run, have only gotten in position that now I can buy more of them because my capital is in dry powder and I can add to that stack. Now, because I did that does not mean that you should do that. Remember, I did this a month ago. So it all depends on your time horizon, what you want to do. Yeah. But how's everybody feeling today? I've been talking this whole last hour. I haven't even looked at the chat. Got Dave Digital, Crimson Caravan, Sawtooth Hiker, Zeus Cash, Alexander G, maybe a Band-Aid. Alex Green was in here. Ray Meeks, our main man, is in the room. Got everybody in the house. All right, so let's look at a couple more. Quant. I kind of took a little of this, you know, came down here, got a little bit of a double bottom currently, but we can't really confirm that yet because this has not yet broken past the previous lows. But look at this. We did have bullish divergence on the momentum. That's what this line is here on the momentum waves. This triangle to this triangle, this flipping. This one's higher, and we're getting a little bit of bullish divergence here. And it basically says this is probably a decent shot, but at the same time, right here, we are far below the 20 moving average. We're far below the dynamic resistance zone, and we were also below the weekly VWAP and the trend signal line. So I would be a little bit cautious here because of this downtrend that it's in. Let's go ahead and go like this. Is there a bit of a... Yeah, so there we go. Wick. Wick. Candle. We're right at resistance, which is testing perfectly where the lows of this previous range are. So, you know, even if this pushes up into, I think this will get rejected at 100 if it makes it up there. But this is looking weak. We have a setup, but we don't have a support and confirmation. Remember that. Let's get down to the 30-minute. What's 30-minute look like on quant? Coming up, got two bearish divergences right there. Stochastic and momentum. This comes right into the zone. Look at this. The stochastics are getting rejected each time it hits this level right here. The RSI angled straight down. Momentum's rolling over. We just had a flip bullish on the money flow, and this is already rolling over. And look at all this bearishness. We're looking at the 30-minute. And this makes sense because we're right at a known zone. But understanding the context of all this downside, weak attempt, this is suggesting me we're likely going to test down to the 96.5 to 96.7 sort of zone. And if we lose that, then I do think that we're coming down to 96 even. If we lose 96, we lose 96, I think we're going to be testing the low 90s. I want quant to be a lot cheaper because I want to stack up a lot of quant for this next bull market, especially with the tokenomics of quant. XRP, how you looking, baby? Rolling over. M formation. Bearish divergences. Look at this. Push up, stopping volume down. Push up, stopping volume down. And a bearish signal. Push up, stopping volume, followed by another bullish candle here, and then ultimately rejects down. Selling volume, stopping volume with the bullish setup. Weak attempt up, get rejected at the 20 moving average, this sort of EMA ribbon and 20 moving average. Okay, we got 5 bullish divergences here. Moves up. So one of my favorite things about the BitLab trading stack is, and we had a lot of, not a fight, but we had a lot of debate about having just a pure buy and sell signal, which we could put on there. And some other indicators do put those things on, but they never work that way. We wanted to give you different ways to look at different signals within the charts to really make sure that you could also formulate your own. I don't have any of these reversal. I didn't realize I didn't have these on. Let's turn them off. I knew it was looking a little naked. But you can use the variety of different signals that we provide on these indicators to come up with your strategy, whether it's a divergence base or the bullish and bearish setups coupled with, the reversals and momentum and so on and so forth. So as we're coming up, look, XRP is coming up to where the weekly VWAP. Fighting at the same level as where these previous lows are. And look at how this candle opened. 30-minute came up here and it opened. There's a little bit of a order flow sort of gap there on this little bit of bearishness. So attempt, but this looks like a weak attempt. Momentum coming down. This is looking like it's going to test into the zone down here into the 49 and 50s. Low 49s, I would say. And if we lose those low 49s, I do think we're coming down into the 48s and potentially below. It's hard to read XRP right now with everything going on in the news about the cases. I think there's a lot of hopium institutional buying and other people retail buying because they know there's a lot of fundamental development happening with banks and other stuff. So opportunities coming down here 50 and below. For me, I'm taking opportunities to stack up on XRP. So just beware of the different aspects. We got to look at Sol and Gala. My bad. We got to look at Gala. How many of you out there are Gala holders? Let's look at Gala. Gala, Tether, Binance. Okay, 12 hour. I mean, this is all the news. If you don't know the news and you hold this, I'm not even going to tell you what the news is. You need to go and research what the news is on the assets you're holding. There's a pretty big deal going on right now with Gala, and I'll tell you, even though I just said I wouldn't, it has to do with basically basically two founders of the company suing each other and allegations of the use of funds and all kind of different stuff. And it makes speculative investors wonder about the future of the company. And so a lot of people have been selling. And so for me, and this is not financial advice, if I were a holder of Gala still, which I sold a long time ago, anything coming back up towards this trend signal line, I would be cutting my losses. Anything really in this zone above the weekly VWAP, anywhere in this zone, which is still a pretty decent, it's 5, 8, 10% move up. Anywhere, I would say above, anywhere up here, I'd be looking to get out. But this is looking like, we have this large channel that this has been in. This is over here. It did not look like it was going to get back down here, but this is how the markets work. They do their best to come out of nowhere with a news thing on an asset you thought was a perfect asset, and all of a sudden it's just completely collapses. This is why diversification is so important. So I do see maybe a little attempt up. Yeah, maybe this high. I don't quite see it, but definitely a test down here into the 12s, high 12s, and likely maybe bouncing along this if it doesn't just collapse. So Gala, sorry for anybody out there holding Gala. I hope you're diversified. We've got 89 people in the room. We got 65 likes. We've had people in and out. Everybody in the room, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, ding the bell, get involved. And again, remember in the BitLab Discord, if you go to the top, if you remember there's a thing that says event. Click on that if you want. Alex Green's going to be doing a BitLab, the trading stack, a little bit more of a training on some of the different signals within that. But looking here on Sol, that's going to be in 2 minutes actually. So we'll be getting off here in a second. But look at this, push up. I mean, this kind of looks like the Bitcoin run of 2017 sell off, little side, and then the bottom falls out. But then on the 12-hour, there was some good news that came out about Sol recently. I think partnership with Visa, but who knows how the legitimacy of that partnership, or if it's just that they're integrating it into what they're doing. I have not looked into that news story yet, so don't judge me on not knowing the answer to that. But we got this large order block here. Where'd the price come down to? Back here, it was suggested there's going to be a little bit of a liquidity magnet. Price, ends up pushing up, breaking down, pushing up, and then ultimately falls right into this little liquidity. I don't want to call it a trap, but this liquidity zone comes down, almost clears the whole thing. And now it's pushing up. We have two order blocks directly above us. We do have a triangle here. We do have a little bit of a bullish setup. Now, this is on the 12-hour. What does it look like on the 4-hour? 4-hour. You have an order block that was created that has just been bounced on a few times. And finally, we pushed up. High volume candle, stopping volume. We're at right at the previous low. A lot of bullishness here. Now, this one may buck the trend based on some of the news that came out, but you can't count on that. Trade with smart risk management. But this did look pushed up. And before, if we zoom out like that, where did it stop? Right at the point of control, where all the interest was. Stopping volume. So this, you're going to want to keep a hawk eye on this. What does it look like on the 30-minute? Pushed up, again, right into this zone. And what do we get? Bearish setup. Leading in to this higher move. A little bit of a bearish setup, but a lot of buying volume here, green. And then we finally get, excuse me, we finally get the triangle here. And the price action loses the 20 moving average, which is this slightly darker line. You know what I'm talking about when I'm talking about the slightly darker line? You see this brighter line right here, I should say, not darker. And it's coming into this dynamic support zone here. Is this going to be a bull flag? Or is this going to break down? Well, your answer is there. You have your sort of support zones. We have this dynamic support zone right here, but we also have the support line. If price action loses this and comes down and tests this $20 right here for Solana, the trend signal line here, if it can't hold this, which is, look at this. This is perfectly in line. You can't make this up. This previous high of this wick is perfectly in line with where this trend signal line is. So if this cannot hold this level, this is going to come all the way back down into this to this accumulation zone. But in addition to that, if this move is failed and comes back into here, the bulls lose a bit of their confidence and likely will test a lower part of this zone. So that's what I'm seeing today, everybody. Everybody, I love you all. I want to see everybody throw in your favorite lab coats, throw in your microscopes, throw in your test tubes. I was trying to break down a little bit more lesson-based, not just talking price action, which we talked about all kind of different coins. We talked about Bitcoin, Ethereum, AVAX, Cardano, XRP, Quant, Gala. What else do we talked about so many different coins today. But I also wanted to break down how I'm going through, especially with the indicators that we talk about on a daily basis, how you're looking for setups and supports and confirmations. And it's difficult right now, everybody. It's not supposed to be easy to kill it at these markets. It's easier when you understand how to read the data that's available to you. And with the BitLab trading stack, there's a lot of data there, but you're not just going to buy it and be able to absolutely kill it the second you buy it. You have to buy it, or you have to you have to utilize it, understand what the data sets are and how you can use them for there's something coming, where's the support for it, and what's my confirmation? And you can build your strategy around that. Hop over there, all of you, into the BitLab Discord, everybody that's there, get involved. And again, if you're interested in the indicators that I was going over today, head over to bitlabacademy.com. It's going to look a little bit like this. My internet always goes so slow when I'm on the screen. There we go. Looks a little bit like this. Come over here to indicators, come down to BitLab Trading Stack, and you can utilize, basically click right there. You can get the all the indicators together, or you can come over to enroll now, it'll bring up this page. You can get the BitLab Pro, which has all the courses we have, all access to all the courses, and the premium Discord, and the indicators, and you get them bundled together. So it's about a little under 30% off every month. But you can also, for any of the things you may want to add to your skill set and your war chest, you can use Give Me 30 for 30% off your first month, in addition to any other discounts that are on. For instance, the BitLab Pro is already discounted. You can, because you're buying it as a bundle, you can use Give Me 30. But that's all I got for you today, guys. I love you. I appreciate you. Everybody, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, ding that bell, and I will see you guys in the next video. Adios, muchachos. Adios, muchachos. Thank you for coming. Thank you for always tuning in. Head to bitlabacademy.com for all your education needs in crypto. Hit that like button, sucker.